Connection. My name is May Hanna, and I'm your host of College Connection, and it's a show about UC Claremont College and all the great things happening at the campus and in our community and with our partners. So having said that, I'd like to introduce you to two of our partners in the community. John Melvin with the Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, John.
Thank you. I appreciate
You've
being
been on
here.
the show before, so welcome back.
Well, I enjoy it.
And Michelle Beckham Corbin. And Michelle is a business owner and a social media guru in this area. And this isn't our first meeting either, so I'm so happy to have you on the show.
I am very happy to be here.
And you're obviously not a new face on Anderson Community Television. You're a host on the program, or you have your own program. So it's fun to have you in that seat and not this seat for the show.
Actually, it's different sitting in this seat. It is.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'm so glad to have you both here. And you're here to talk about the Business Technology Summit that's coming up later on in the fall. But we wanted to have you on to talk about it because it's something that we want to include the whole region and just share the news about it. So John, could you tell us a little bit about it and what folks can look forward to?
Sure. The Business Technology Summit is an event that we hope to grow regionally for the next several years to provide the business community with access and information about technology, with the understanding that businesses find themselves lagging behind in the adoption of technology in all aspects of their business, and that's hurting them with their customers, with their competitors, and even with their operations and efficiency. And a lot of times they're lagging behind simply because they either don't know or haven't gained enough insight to the tools to really effectively use them. So we're focusing on the strategy, the technology, and the change that can bring businesses forward in our community.
Okay, well, good. And why do you consider this a must-attend event for the business leaders in our community?
Well, as I said, May, this is one of those events that without the change necessary inside the businesses, then we will continue to see other parts of the country becoming more active and aggressive, other parts of the world today. And there's been so much change and such rapid change in the last 3 years that businesses just aren't keeping up. And we have to help our business community as a whole and individually compete.
Okay, great. And the summit's taking place when?
The summit is October the 29th,
Okay.
Which is a Tuesday, and it will be at the Holiday Inn Eastgate. And it will run from 10:30 in the morning until about 5:30 in the afternoon. It will feature an extensive lineup of very dynamic speakers like Michelle, and it will have 24 to 28 exhibitors. And so we see it as a one-stop operation for the C-level managers and general managers of companies. So the CIO, CFO, COO, CEOs, all the leadership of the businesses can come to this event and pretty much pick up on any topic they want to that we're going to cover in those sessions.
Okay. So Michelle, why was this an important thing for you to get involved with in this community?
Very important for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm a huge proponent for technology and especially for innovation. Mm-hmm. And the Cincinnati area has really become a hotbed for innovation. All kinds of new things are happening here, all kinds of startups. And I think education is so important. And this is an opportunity, as John mentioned, for businesses to be able to come to one place, that one-stop shop kind of scenario, mm-hmm. where they will have a variety of experts there to be able to share their knowledge. And the beauty of it is they will get to choose. We've got some excellent keynote speakers, which I know John will talk about later, but there will be a menu of choices in all kinds of key areas that can help a business focus on their strategy, harness innovation, and change so that they really will be here. I wanted to just kind of share a quote. There's a gentleman by the name of Eric Qualman. He wrote a book called Socialnomics, and one of the lasting quotes from the book is the ROI of social media is that your business will still exist in 5 years. Now he's talking about social media, but in essence what we're really talking about is innovation and strategy. And businesses today have to harness that if they want to be successful and to continue to grow.
Well, that's great. I know you're passionate about this, and you've been doing this for a while. Probably you were out there before a lot of people were. On this topic, we were talking before the show that I actually sat in on a boot camp that you had for social media 2008
yeah, it was
or
either
9.
2008 or 2009.
Yeah.
I can't believe that so many years have passed since then.
Yeah, so it was for me it was a great eye-opener several years ago, and I remember using a lot of the strategies that I learned that day in that boot camp that you taught, and have really, I've worked with the different social media platforms, and they're just a part of my everyday work now. So
see, that's great, that total integration, right,
Yeah.
of innovation to help
Right.
you do your job better.
Right. So I'm a testimonial that that it works, and that Michelle's a very good teacher in this area. So
thank you.
I do appreciate that. So you are presenting on the art of digital community building, and so tell our viewers a little bit about what this encompasses.
Absolutely. And really what this is all about, it's about building brand ambassadors. And so when you do have a presence as a company in the digital media space, whether it's Facebook or a LinkedIn community or Twitter, you've got a universe of people that have the opportunity to really become attached to your brand, to be able to build that relationship with you as a business and to develop trust. And I think that when people become attached to a brand and really feel like they're being heard and they're consuming the content that they need, then you've got that relationship that's there. And when it comes time to recommend, people tend to recommend brands that they feel really good about. As a matter of fact, a recent study said that 97% of people trust peer recommendations over even, advertisements. And so I think when a company can really play in that sphere and really build those communities, those digital communities, and connect with their clients, customers, constituents in a way that makes them feel close, that's only going to build their business, because they're going to go out and become brand ambassadors and spread the message of how great that particular company, brand, or service is. And so that's what building a digital community is all about.
That's interesting. We hear about brand ambassadors all the time, but why are they? You were talking about why they're so valuable to companies. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Sure, and it's really kind of getting into that whole idea of having people who are really touting your services in your business, right? So, we talk about finding key influencers, and if you can find people who really are very much in love with your brand and services, and they're going off and again kind of spreading the message of what you're all about, think about the viral reach that you can have. If you hit those kind of heavy consumers of social media who like your brand, and as they consume and they've got a lot of social credibility, we call it social cred, then they're spreading that message, and it just becomes that whole, you tell someone, and it brings in just more kind of marketing for the company.
Would you consider brand ambassadors those, like when you're shopping and you'll see the communities that comment, that have like heavy comments on different products? Would you consider those brand
Sure. I think a brand ambassador really is anyone who is basically in love with your company, right? In love with your brand, your company, your service, and they are willing to talk to their friends about it.
Yeah.
And talk, obviously, digitally, where
Right.
it can be repeated and repeated and spread.
I can see that. For those of us that shop online, that's an important thing. Those brand ambassadors. So I'm just trying to connect. John, tell us about the highlights of what's going to happen at the event in October.
Well, when we set out to put this lineup of speakers together, we really targeted a couple of key leaders in the technology world, and we're both delighted and humbled that we landed both of them. And so one of the keynote speakers will be Michael Schreck. Michael is with IBM, and he is in business analytics. And then the second speaker is a very dynamic gentleman from right here in Cincinnati. His name is Stuart Aitken, and he is with dunnhumby USA.
Great.
And he also works in business analytics, but his particular focus for this event is going to be on loyalty, customer loyalty programs. And so to give you just a little hint, Kroger is probably the primary client for dunnhumby, and Kroger's results in the last 3 years have just taken off inside of that very difficult, very competitive grocery chain world, and almost exclusively because of the research and activities that dunnhumby presented to them. So there's kind of an inside joke that Kroger built dunnhumby a new building downtown, and dunnhumby built Kroger into a much more profitable company. And Stuart Aitken's going to discuss that. So I don't want to say those are the highlights, because that would say that the other 16 speakers are second, and they're not.
Right.
I mean, Michelle and the other 15 speakers representing companies like CyrusOne, Microsoft, AT&T, Bootcamp Digital, we just keep going down the line. They're all outstanding, and we're pleased to have every one of them.
That's fantastic. And who do you think is the best audience to attend this event?
Well, as I said earlier, this is really, I mean, this would be good for a small business owner, one or a two, particularly somebody who's just entering into the business world, but it's really better fitted to the company that's already established 10, 15, 150, 250 employees, and it's ideal for them to bring 3 or 4 of their top management team, because once we get past the 2 keynote speakers, we're going to be running 4 rooms at a time, and one person is going to say, I can't cover all 4 rooms, so they better bring friends, they better bring their other management team, so they can have the opportunity to hear Michelle and all the others that are presenting at the same time.
That sounds great. And we're really running out of time quickly, so I'm going to probably have to have you guys come back, since we've got a little bit of lead time for this event, to talk maybe about some of the other topics. But how can folks sign up, or if they want more information, where do they go?
www.clermontchamber.com.
Okay.
Or if they have questions, call us at 513-576-5006, and we'll be happy to help. We still have opportunities for sponsors. We have opportunities for exhibitors, and we certainly are looking for registrants, and that can be done online.
Great.
But it's there.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit about this, what sounds like a terrific summit, a business technology summit, and very, I think it's very well thought out, and lots of great speakers, and they can come and hear Michelle.
And be inspired as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So John and Michelle, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I hope to have you back maybe one more time before the event in October.
That'd be wonderful.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
So on behalf of UC Claremont College and Anderson Community Television, I hope that you'll stay tuned, because I have 2 more guests coming up. Thank you. Welcome back. My name is May Hanna, and I'm the host of College Connection, and as promised, I have 2 more guests, so I'd like to welcome Dr. Sharon Sanders, the Associate Professor of Psychology, and Dr. Michael Vislacki, Associate Professor of Mathematics from UC Claremont College.
Thank you, May.
So welcome.
Thank
So
you.
happy to have you. Michael, you've been on the show in the past.
Love it.
So I'm happy to have you back. And This is your first time.
This is my first time.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting to have a math and psychology team appear on the show, and I think it's a pretty special pairing. So the two of you are here to talk about the amygdala response study that you've been working on together. So will you share a little bit about that and tell me about what the study is about?
Should we start with what the amygdala is?
Sure.
And the amygdala response. Carry on.
Okay, well, the amygdala is part of the brain where our emotional perceptions, emotional memories, and so, if you see something out of the corner of your eye, you're going to jump back, and that's the amygdala. So all the sensory information gets to the amygdala. And when we're studying, we're in class, or we're studying, we have a test, whatever it is, it's a threat. If we don't do well, we're going to have problems, and people project all kinds of problems. So it's going to cause an amygdala response, and the response comes, in some sort of like a gut feeling. But when it's a little problem, it's a little feeling, and it's easy just to let it go by and not pay attention to it. And as they build up, well, then it becomes anxiety, and then it's hard to it's hard to deal with anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that part of the brain. Let's talk a little bit more about where it is and.
It's in the center of the brain, in the emotional system, in the limbic system, and it is primarily it controls the fear response, the stress-producing response of fight or flight. So when, like Michael says, you see something out of the corner of your eye, turns out to be a stick. It was no threat at all, but it looked like a snake, and that is, you have this automatic response that it just bypasses the thinking part of your brain. It's a primitive, instinctive kind of response. And what we're trying to do is, with math students in particular, get them to tune in to their first responses of discomfort when they don't know how to do a math problem. Because too often they let it go and the problems compound, and then they can give up and drop out of the program. So we are involved in the College Success Program, and we want to help these students be successful at math and not be afraid of it. Because math is a very fearful subject for some students. And
it causes lots of frustration and anxiety for students. And the thing about it is that we can rationalize that we've studied, okay? Or we study and we copy from the book and we feel like we got the answer. But see, the amygdala doesn't fool us. It will tell the truth every time because it's an instant reaction. So you can't fool yourself with it the way we can with our mind and stuff like that. So that's what's nice about it. And we want students to know that they know without having to show that they know. It's like a CEO makes a decision to invest in a certain area where all the data says invest over here. The CEO says we'll go in this way successfully, and everybody says, why'd you do that? It was great. So I just felt like that was the right way to go. See, it's the feeling response that we're looking at. And when I do it with my students now, just anecdotally, they don't recognize any emotional response. They don't recognize it. And the men are worse. The women tend to focus more on their emotion. They can sense it. The guys, they talk cognitively. They use words like, well, I'm not sure I understand, or I think I understand. But, so it's going to be a challenge to get people to train them to pay attention to the slight, like me, I tighten up in my shoulders when I get that response. So that's how I know, oh, okay, something's missing. So if something's missing, and then I catch it. And so so if we're not anxious all the time and frustrated, that makes it a college a more enjoyable experience, And then too, a lot of kids don't go to careers that need math because they're afraid of it.
That's a good point.
So, people that are very, they make straight A's and everything else, and not in math, you see. When they can make straight A's in math too, it's just that they need to have a little bit of help to figure out how to do it right.
a way to get over the fear.
And so how does this work in the learning environment?
How does the study work, or what are we going to do with it? Well,
either one.
Okay. What we're going to do first of all is work with several of the math classes, and these are
first level
math
developmental
classes.
math.
Yeah. and we'll be training the experimental group to get in touch with their emotions, and as soon as they discover, to learn to recognize when they feel a discomfort, as soon as they don't know that they know the answer, as soon as they recognize that they're off somehow, and then to get help, because all they have to do is seek help at that point. Get help from the professor, from a tutor, learning center, some kind of help, but to catch it immediately, catch it right away before it becomes a big catastrophic problem. And so that if this works, and we think it will work, to kind of train people to get in touch with those feelings, they should form a sense of mastery. They should get to a point where they feel in control of their learning environment, their ability to learn math. And it should take the fear out.
It's empowering. It's empowering.
It's empowering, yeah.
To feel confident that you can do it. Challenges are one thing, but to take on the challenge and feel that you're capable of doing it, that's a big thing. Rather than trying to avoid it and feel inferior. So we give our power away. We want students to keep their power. Like, if they're in their English class, they got their power, they're all there. Get to math class, well, I want the math class to have the same power, same energy that they, and we've seen students who have done that, and they feel that they're different. You can see it in their face and their body movements, how different they are, and it's a wonderful thing.
So how will you do this in class? Will you recruit some of your students, or will you ask all of your students to participate, and then you'll work together with this?
We will work with them. We're going to ask everybody in the class if they want to participate or not, and if they do want to participate, we'll meet with them outside of class and have training sessions. And we're going to do some interviews and a questionnaire, and then we're going to do training sessions with the experimental group.
Great.
Yeah, so we have a pre and post math test, a pre and post achievement emotions questionnaire, and so we'll be able to measure, and we'll have our control group, and it's very exciting. It's very exciting. The prospect of having a student not feel those frustrating emotions. It's worse than you go to class and you just dread going there. And that's why we have a retention issue too, because I don't think I want to go to math today. I just can't deal with it. So they don't go.
Right.
And you miss a couple of classes and you say, well, I missed too many classes already. I just might as well just give up.
Right.
And they give up. They drop out. So if they could be empowered, like Michael says, if they get over this fear and feel like they have some control over their ability to learn math and their ability to find the help that they need, and then conquer that math block that they have, it can open up huge vistas for them. People, unfortunately, when they're doing math in particular, give up, and they just accept that. They just think, I can't do it. I'm not good at math. This is something I can't do. And we're going to help them hopefully get to where they say instead, I can do this. And it was a challenge, but I learned how to do it.
And it carries over to the other classes
I was
too.
just going to ask you that. You read my mind.
It goes everywhere. So,
Are you going to do that in the other
once
classes?
We are in the reading.
Once you
and
know
writing.
that you know, it's it's confidence. I know that. How do you know? Well, I just know that I know. I feel like I know that. And the amygdala won't mislead you. See, that's the neat thing about it. It's not going to mislead you. If you feel that, if you actually feel that confidence, that's the reality. And you can't argue with that. And after you try it and test it, and the successes come, then it becomes easier and easier to do it. And
Right.
so I'm glad we have a full semester, because it takes some time to train people and change some behavioral things.
And when will it begin, and when will it end the study?
We're beginning in September.
In fall.
Oh, okay.
Fall, August.
August, right. So
Okay.
we're working with the IRB to get the IRB approval for the study.
Okay.
And we met with someone from the IRB a couple of weeks ago for a couple of hours.
Fantastic.
And so it's we're getting it all.
So we'll
in.
do it all of fall semester, and then we're working also with Dr. Apatova, who will move this into the reading and writing portion of the College Success Program. And eventually, we'd like to move it out into the community
That's
in
fantastic.
Elementary.
school
Wow.
and try to catch them young.
Yeah, that's
Especially one of the big things going on is that boys are more, they have a little more confidence in math and their abilities to do math, and young girls, are not encouraged to do math, and so they tend to lack the confidence to do it. And so hopefully we can even that out a little bit, and that we'll have more girls and women going into engineering and science.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic, and I like the idea of taking it out into the community and really even going into some of the younger populations because it starts early.
It starts early.
The
Yes.
fear starts early, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it does.
And how many of our viewers are out there thinking, that was me.
Right.
I just sat here and told you that was me.
It's around 4th grade, I
Yeah,
think, where
yeah.
it really starts, the anxieties really start kicking
Exactly.
in. So.
Exactly. Well, this is, I think this is a terrific pairing, the two of you, and
think so
doing
too,
this
yeah.
study. And I really appreciate you coming on the show to talk about it and share it with the viewers. I'm sure there's some folks who might be interested in it and hearing more about it. And so we'll put up your contact information in case anyone wants to contact you to learn more about it, or if you have suggestions and that sort of
We'd
thing.
love to talk to them.
Great.
That would be great, yes. Thank
Well,
you.
Michael and Sharon, thank you so much for being here, and I'll probably ask you to come back and share your
Oh, great.
research
Great.
once you're done.
Thank you.
So
We love it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. On behalf of Anderson Community Television and UC Claremont College, we thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll catch us next time.